Paul's a cop in New York. Paul Bacon. Officer Bacon. No jokes, please. And one night, he did his regular 4 to midnight shift. And then he was told that they needed him to cover a second shift in another part of the city, in a little security booth, in an area they were protecting from terrorists, basically. At 2 a.m., the other officer who's working in this booth with him takes a lunch break, goes and takes a nap. And then at 3 a.m., it's Paul's turn for a break. He's exhausted. Remember, he had already worked a full shift as a patrolman. And he decides that he's also going to take a nap. So he gets into his patrol car, and he drives it out into this parking lot, a little ways away from the security booth.
I parked my car in the one available spot, thinking, this is a parking lot. Nobody's going to be coming by here. It's going to be fine. And so I turned off the ignition and just sat there, and I realized I don't think I'm going to be able to fall asleep sitting up. So I got out of the driver's seat, gotten back, and closed the door. And I was asleep within seconds. I had set my alarm watch to go off so that I would get up in plenty of time to go back on post so my partner wouldn't worry where I was and everything would be fine. It would be smooth. But I woke up a few seconds before my alarm with this terrible realization, which is that I was locked in the back. I was like, I'm trapped. That was my first thought. Because you don't get out of the back of a police car. The back of the police car is for prisoners.
And, I never really thought about it, that a police car is really just like a rolling jail cell.
That's exactly right. And also, it's hermetically sealed. Remember, it was very cold that night. It was February, and I had closed the grating to the front, and the windows were up, so it was really, you could just feel there was less oxygen in the air. And also, all the windows were all fogged up, so I could barely see out. And I started to panic.
Len fell back into his chair with my folder in his hands and closed his eyes. I knew I shouldn't leave it at this, that I needed to stand up and maybe get a little mean and self-righteous and tell him to give me my folder and then walk out of there. But I couldn't. I'd like to believe that it was out of some sort of compassion, that I was looking at a broken man and choosing not to break him further. And maybe that was part of it. But it also had something to do with my own private disgrace, at how little money I had and at how badly I managed it. It felt to me like it was just a facet of something larger and more troublesome, an inability to take much of anything very seriously. Without Len, I'd have to show that folder to someone else, who'd probably look down on me. Len was less my accountant than the guardian of my shame. And in that respect, I still needed his services.
From WBEZ Chicago, it's This American Life, distributed by Public Radio International.
It's so embarrassing. I don't want to get upset. But, he has a car. So the last time I saw him on purpose was just in the car in front of my house. And I don't know, it's just bad.
Bad, like when you walk out of your house, you think, there his car was.
Yeah, I still look for it. It's crazy.
Okay, now we're about a block from your house.
In front of that building, right there. This churchy-looking building. It was where we were parked when we first had the conversation where we decided we were going to be exclusive. Which was a joke. I don't really date around, and I don't think he does either. But, it's kind of a big conversation. But yeah, we were parked in the middle of that block, right where that white car is.
And so every time you walk down this street, you'll think oh, yeah, there's the spot?
I don't walk down this street. I just don't. I haven't even seen him for a month, you know what I mean?
When I walked around Lauren's neighborhood with her, it had been 2 months since her boyfriend broke up with her. They'd gone up for about 10 months before that. She was incredibly nice to let herself be taped in still a pretty raw state. But even in the middle of that raw state, she was acutely aware and said herself that everything she was going through was a cliche that she was forced to live through.
That's the crazy thing about it is it's breaking up with someone is literally the most common thing. Like everyone you know broke up with everyone they ever dated until maybe the person they're with right now, if they're with someone right now. But when it happens to you, it feels so specific. Like it's, you know, and it's, I don't want to say I can't get over it, but like in like a flippant way, like you kind of can't get over it. Like you're like, what? This is what's happening? It's so shocking.
If I had to say one thing about Lauren, it's that she was full of feelings that completely contradicted each other, which I guess just comes with this territory. Like, she emphatically did not want him to call, but also, maybe a little bit, wanted him to call. She missed him, and she didn't want to stop thinking about him. But she also did all this elaborate math to calculate the day that she would finally be over him and not thinking about him and with somebody else. We get to an area where she had been on walks with the ex-boyfriend. There were benches and a sidewalk promenade.
I don't know, we used to just, it's not that we took a ton of walks, but we took some walks.
And what happened down here?
You know, I can't say that anything of substance happened. It's not like any one specific thing. It's just, I don't know.
It's just that there was an us.
I know, there really was. That's the thing that's so weird. It's like, you know, you put so much energy into something and then one day it's time to stop. I don't know.
During a breakup, you just stare at what happened. There's a before and there's an after, and you just can't believe it. Lauren says she still doesn't even understand what went wrong between her and him. And that's part of it, too, so much of the time. Well, we got the idea for today's radio show from an email that a listener sent. It says, here, Dear This American Life, I'm suffering from a gut-wrenching breakup with my former boyfriend, and I searched your site for shows about breakups and general heartbreak to commiserate. But to my surprise, I didn't find many stories specifically regarding the act of breaking up. I hope you consider it. A show like that would really cheer me up. And so, with that in mind, we devote our show today to breakups. I've known Christy a few years, and she's been going through a rough time. When her boyfriend dumped her, she wanted to do something, you know. She wasn't over him, and she had all these feelings, and it's hard to just sit there. And she thought about standing outside of his window and serenading him. She's a singer. That's her job. She sings. But she actually had tried serenading a guy once.
That really didn't work out. I do believe, I would like to say as a woman, I believe there is a serenade double standard. Like, where it's kind of okay for a man to go throw a rock at a window. But, you know, when a woman does it, it's sort of like, call the police. There's a singer-songwriter on my lawn.
Like you're a crazy person.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be a crazy person, right? She didn't want to stalk him. She didn't want to bother him. But like I say, she had all these feelings. So she wrote him a letter every day that she did not send. And she started collecting stuff that she knew that he would like, and she kept it. She just kept it in a box underneath her bed. She's also got food for him in her freezer, these pastries that he likes that she saw and couldn't help buying for him. And she knows that he doesn't want to get any of this stuff from her. So, you know, like, what is she collecting this stuff for? She has no idea. Finally, she figured out a way to reach out to him that she thought might be appropriate.
He was a prankster. He loved pranks.
Including phone pranks. And so Christy explained to me that as she would drive around the country from one music gig to the next, she tried to do something that she thought would talk to that part of his personality.
I started writing his number on bathroom walls across the United States.
What?
Yeah. I started writing on bathroom walls, ladies, please help me out. I really want my man back. Please call. You know, and then I put his number and tell him his chalupa really misses him. And then I wrote, say your city and state, please.
I see. Because you knew that, like he doesn't want to see you, so you don't want to be calling him. That would be clearly
right
out of bounds.
Right. That's how I cleared myself of that, by having other women call and text him.
Is it possible, like, though if he doesn't want to hear from you, like, that this is even worse?
Well, and that's eventually what happened. 2 months later, I received a very cold, dry text. You know, I hope you're doing okay, but please knock it off with the bathroom walls. Desist with this.
Yeah. So Christy tried a more constructive route. She started learning these sad old country songs, Floyd Tillman and Hank Williams, and she formed a cover band to play them that she calls the Town Criers. Get it? Town Criers. In Denton, Texas, where she lives. I asked her to send me one of the songs, and they are really, really sad.
I love you so much, it hurts me. Darling, that's why I'm so blue.
Kurt says he would not want to do a Rumspringa again, but he came out of this experience believing that it is important to force things to a decision with someone, and that it's healthy for any relationship to be evaluated now and then.
I do have a theory now. I do have a theory about if I do get married in the future, what I think I would want to do is have an agreement that at the end of 7 years, we have to get remarried in order for the marriage to continue. But at the end of 7 years, it ends, and we can agree to get remarried or not get remarried.
Why?
Because then I think you get to choose, and I think it would make the relationship stronger.
I don't know what I think of that, because I think actually one of the things that's a comfort in marriage is that there isn't a door at 7 years. And so if something is messed up in the short term, there's a comfort of knowing, like, well, we made this commitment, and so we're just going to work this out. And even if tonight we're not getting along or there's something between us that doesn't feel right, you have the comfort of knowing, like, we've got time, we're going to figure this out. And that makes it so much easier. Because you do go through, like, times when you hate each other's guts. You know what I mean? Like,
of course you do, yeah.
And the no escape clause, weirdly, is a bigger comfort to being married than I ever would have thought before I got married.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd never thought of it that way.
Yeah,
I like thinking about it that way. You just see so many examples of where people don't think that way.